All right, scholars, time to continue our notes from Module 3. As always, please make sure you've got your name and number up in the corner. I know some of you probably, again, you feel like it's in a notebook. Why am I bothering with that? And well, if the page gets torn out, if the notebook is just open to this page, makes it very easy to get it back to you. All right, Module 3 notes. Today's lesson is going to, I hope, look very familiar. As we move into Module 3, Lesson 8, we're still adding and subtracting. So nothing particularly new there. Adding and subtracting. The only difference is what we're adding and subtracting, and even that's not really all that different. We're going to be adding and subtracting mixed numbers. Now, there are a few ways to do this. I like to usually start with the most step-by-step, the most methodical way of doing it. Sorry, there's our 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a Roman numeral. So I'm going to show you what I think is probably the most direct way to begin, and we'll play with some other strategies in class. Okay. So we'll jump straight to our process. Okay. And this particular process is going to be using improper fractions. Okay. So, step 1. Oops. Step 1. Change whole numbers and mixed numbers. Now, you might not always have both, but whatever you have, any whole numbers, any mixed numbers, change them into improper fractions. And I have a lot of capitalized words there. Probably shouldn't really be capitalizing all of them, but they're important math terms. So we'll go ahead and leave it as it is. Change any whole numbers and mixed numbers into improper fractions. So if I give you something that looks like this, 2 minus 1 and 5/8. Oh dear, what am I going to do with that? Well, we are going to turn each part into an improper fraction. Okay. So, let's start. Well, I guess apparently we're going to start by drawing one of my trademark arrows. Okay. Let's start. We'll take the 2. Now, anytime I have a whole number, and we've talked about this a little bit, anytime we have a whole number, turning it into a fraction is easy. All you do is write the number as the numerator, and the denominator is 1. So, not too bad there. Okay. Now, our mixed number, I don't want to say is any harder, but there is a little bit more to it. If you remember, we're going to multiply across the bottom. So 8 times 1 is 8. It's because my one whole is made up of 8 pieces. So 8 times 1, I've got 8 pieces there. Then I will add across the top. I'm going to add those 8 pieces plus 5 more. I had 5 more eighths. So my total will be 13 eighths. Okay. Now I have 2 fractions. And that we've been practicing. That you know how to work with. Okay. Step 2. Okay. We're going to rewrite the improper fractions. We'll get back to regular capitalization, I guess. Rewrite the improper fractions using least common denominator. Okay. So let's take our fractions from over here and write them down below. We have 2 over 1, 13 over 8. Now I'm looking at that, and that does not look like I should be able to subtract. That top fraction is just 2 over 1. Those are pretty small numbers. Then down below we have 13 over 8. That seems a little ridiculous. But if we rewrite our improper fractions, if we rewrite them using the least common denominator, I'm going to look at 1 and 8. Now, I could do the whole list like we've practiced, but in this particular case, I think hopefully most of you can see that the least common multiple for 1 and 8 is going to be 8. If I multiply 1 times 8, that'll give me 8. I will do the exact same thing with the numerator. 2 times 8, that will give me 16. I don't have to multiply this by anything because it's already over 8. Okay, 16/8 minus 13/8. Hopefully that looks a little bit more like what we'd expect. Hopefully that looks a little bit easier to subtract. So for step 3, let's just do that. Step 3, solve and simplify, if possible. If possible. Okay. I will not rewrite this entire thing. We'll just go ahead and rewrite the equivalent fractions. 16/8, 13/8. We're going to subtract them. Numerator minus numerator. 16 minus 13 is 3. Denominator stays exactly the same. It is just a label. So, as odd as that appears, 2 minus 1 and 5/8 is equal to 3/8. Now, something we're going to discuss in class is the idea of completing a whole, completing a set. We'll deal with that a little bit more when we're together. But for right now, this is what I'd like you to take notes on. This is what I want you to practice. I will say, though, take a look at this 3/8. If I already have 5/8 and I add 3/8 to it, that's going to make one whole. Take this whole, there's 1, plus these, that's another whole, that's 2. Okay. Again, a different way of looking at it that we'll practice in class. After some lengthier notes, hopefully it's not too problematic for you. If we have a shorter one, we'll go ahead and end here. Addition would be the exact same process. We did subtraction, but addition would be the same thing. All right, again, we will practice more in class. If you have any questions, please write them down and we will address them together. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you next time.